What's up, movers? I'm Coach Hal. Today we are going over the air chair. Air chair is going to be another loading tool that we use on both feet, trying to get activation from the feet into the floor, working its way up the backside. Lots of activation into the glutes and hamstrings. Probably feeling some low back here. If you do have a weaker low back, you can find a very high engagement of low back activity in this movement. If you're feeling too much pressure in the low back and lots of discomfort, we can always reset in the movement. However, through my experience, I would argue that lots of pressure in the low back is going to come from maybe too much lordosis, and if we can slightly tail tuck just a little bit where we still have our natural curvature, you can funnel more pressure to the glutes and the hamstrings, relieve some of that low back tension, and get in some high quality work. Once again, if you have a weaker low back, this is gonna really light up that area. So be mindful of your red lights and your green lights. If your low back is getting cooked and getting fatigued, that's good. We're looking for strength in the backside in these areas. If you're getting sharp pinching, sharp pain, that's no good. We wanna get out of there. So listen to your body, be mindful. Let's go ahead and get into it. So with an air chair, I would always suggest going against the wall and using that support. However, that doesn't mean that you cannot simply just do this without support. The more you learn to activate and engage the backside, the easier that this movement will be, and you can actually find yourself doing air chairs in the kitchen, at work, maybe in the line at the grocery store. I know I sometimes get into it a little bit myself. I can't help myself. It feels so good. So this is a powerful tool to use in your program, in and around the house, just whenever you feel like you want to give your body some good work. So let's go ahead and utilize a wall for this instruction purpose. So when we get into our air chair, if you get your heels up against the wall all the way, we're going to take one step away. So if I were to just use my foot as a measurement, I'm going to take my heel to where my big toe was, match both feet. I'm going to be about fist width apart with my feet, a little more, a little less, whatever is best for you. I'm going to then find the wall behind me with my fingers. And as I make sure my feet are straight, my arch is maintained, my inside ankle bone's high, my knees are pointed straight, I'm gonna reach behind me, find the wall. I'm gonna then bring my butt back to the wall, find the wall with my butt, and I want to bring my tailbone as high to the sky as I can, spreading my hips wide as well. And you should already start to feel engagement and length in the hamstrings. And now we want to find the glutes too. So as we kind of stand up a little bit here, maybe do a slight tail tuck, we can find engagement into the glutes. If you want to keep your feet flat on the ground, let's go ahead and start here. If you want to spice this up a little bit more, we can go heels elevated and get into a calf raise here, making sure knees are still pointing forward. We've got our feet over our knees, over our hips, in our columns, and we are funneling pressure back into the glutes, hamstrings, and low back. Once we're in this position, we can continue to try and find length by spreading the hips wide and bringing the tailbone high to the sky, trying to create length and strength in this position. And with our hands and our upper body, we don't want to simply just flub over right here. We want to make sure we are keeping a nice strong posture in our backside and pulling our elbows back, holding our shoulders back, and holding our head high, making sure we have a good, long, decompressed spine. Once again, if you're feeling too much pressure in this low back area and you need to just slight tail tuck to find more pressure in the glutes, by all means, that is okay. We are doing from here to here, not this, but something like this. And if you need more length or engagement, we can still bring it back, drive the hips high, and just play around with making sure that you are pressurizing the feet to the floor as well. Once again, we are always pressurizing the outer blade and balls of our feet, not driving into the heel, not driving inward or back into the heel. We're on the toes and balls, outer blades of the feet, driving into the floor, pulling the floor back into us like I'm a bull ready to go at you. I'm just pulling the floor. So I'm pulling the floor back. As I'm bringing my hips back to the sky, this is gonna really engage everything here. And then I'm just pulling my arms up, making sure my shoulder blades, they don't have to be pinching together. Rather, I just want the arms coming back, resting here, and making sure we have good curvature of the back. Nothing is rounding, dumping forward. So I don't want this to be so much pressure, pulling everything back and pinching the shoulder blades together that you now have pinching in the neck and you're straining up front. We want to be able to relax and breathe. This is learning to engage and activate the backside while elongating and decompressing the spine, getting us ready to hold pressure in our backside in a standing posture. So we're strengthening the backside, but we don't want to create so much tension that we're not able to utilize this position as a resting posture. So when we come here, hips high, knees straight. Once again, if you want to elevate this a bit, you can go heels up. And then we're gonna hang out here and we're gonna do some solid breathing patterns, almost as if we're doing our decompression work. So we want a solid inhale, filling up the low belly, filling up the low abdomen, and feeling the hip flexors expand and release, and then nice long exhale, sewing everything down the front side. So we inhale, expand the low belly, feel relaxation in the hip flexors, the rib cage expands, we feel the upper middle back expand, and then as we exhale, everything sews down the front, finding more engagement in the backside, getting longer and taller into the spine while holding our air chair. With this air chair, there's a few different ways to play with it. I highly recommend just working on a neutral air chair. But if you feel like you are really struggling with some internal rotation, let's try and hike those hips up a little bit higher, drive the hips even wider, and through the hips going high and wide, we should find this internal rotation. You may find the knees kind of point inward, and if you need to maybe exaggerate this a little bit with the feet, we can go ahead and do this so we can find space in our corner, in our hinge, working the hips back like this. Once again, arms, hands, everything is up here, creating a strong back, strong low back, slight tail tuck if needed. Once again, that is accentuating more of a hinge air chair. We can exaggerate this again, going into almost like our access squat, but holding the air chair for the access squat. This is going to really teach our loading for our bows. This is really teaching loading, creating space for a hinge. And once again, neutral. This is just where we want to live and hang out with a natural ability, no thought whatsoever about it. So work on the neutral. Once you can master the neutral air chair, then let's start playing with different shapes and utilizing that for another, just for another reason. Air chair right now is once again going to help decompress the spine, elongate and strengthen the backside. If we want to play with the hinge or the bow air chair, go ahead and give that a go, but stick to neutral for now. So have fun with it, stay blessed. Coach Hal out.